What's up, guys? It's everybody's grandma's favorite YouTuber, Open Ice Hits with Scotty2 Hockey. Let's talk Habs, and today, let's talk about a young player that recently only turned 20 years old on July the 6th. He's a player for the Montreal Canadiens, took a lot of heat this summer after a rough 2019-2020 sophomore campaign, Jesperi Kotkaniemi. Today I'd like to talk about why I think he's not a bust. I think this year was kind of unfair to the kid. He came in with way too high of expectations. I myself am guilty of overhyping him. If you haven't seen it, check out my Jesperi Kotkaniemi is going to be a superstar video that I made last summer. My projections for what he was going to be this season were way off. So I myself am one of those fans who is definitely guilty of overhyping this kid. And it's led to a lot of fans already saying this year that we should have drafted Tkachuk, we should have drafted Zadina. He was so awful in 2019-2020, he'll never be the same again as a Hab. We should trade him while we can, while he still has a bit of value. All kinds of crazy things. This kid is only 20 years old, he has all the talent in the world, and not only do I think he's not going to be a bust, I think he's going to be either the number 1 or the number 2 center for the Habs down the road. He's going to be a big part of their future winning success, their big part of their future success, becoming a contender, and he's going to be a pillar for the Montreal Canadiens at that center position for years to come. And that is just my opinion, and I will give my reasons why I think there's no reason to write this kid off yet. He had a nasty injury this season. He had a ton of pressure on him. Then he had young players like Nick Suzuki coming in and shining, kind of overshadowing him. He was stuck in that third line position. He wasn't exactly playing with studs. There's a number of reasons why KK failed this season, and a big part of the reason is himself. He didn't play the way he should have played. He didn't come in prepared the way he should have, even though he did have a hot start with 2 goals in the first 3 games. I think this kid has a lot more to offer, and I will give you my reasons why. And if you haven't, before we get started on this video, let's get to 1,000, guys. I'm so close. I'm only 400 away, when only a couple months ago I was 600-700 away. So it's slowly building up. I'm going to get to 1,000, hopefully within a couple of months. Help me get there and smash that subscribe button. So let's get into this video. After a very solid 34-point rookie campaign where it seemed like every game this kid improved up until the last part of the season where he did get benched for a little bit, wasn't because he was playing bad, it's because of stamina issues. Claude Julien didn't want to wear the kid out in case they did get into playoffs, because if you remember, they were just on the fringe of getting into playoffs. It wasn't until the last 2 or 3 games where they were officially eliminated. So Claude Julien wanted to bench this kid for a little bit, give him some rest, and I'm sure if they did get into the playoffs, he would have resumed his position on that third line for sure. Jesperi Kotkaniemi came into the 2019-2020 season with high expectations and the weight of Habs Nation on his shoulders. I myself am guilty of overhyping and having very high expectations of this kid. And unfortunately, in 2019, it was a very rough year for the young Kotkaniemi. After a very hot start with 2 goals in the first 3 games of the season, it was all downhill from here. He only recorded 4 more goals and 6 more points total in the remaining 34 games he played in the NHL last season. It all seemed to go wrong for KK last year. He really struggled when pressured. He couldn't maintain possession of the puck. Some games he appeared to panic and rush a play, which would cause a turnover and hurt his team in the long run. In other games, he seemed to try and slow down the pace of the game, kind of the way Nick Suzuki does. But you could see he was overthinking the plays, and rarely did things go his way this year. This caused a lot of visible frustration on and off the ice for Jesperi Kotkaniemi, and even has some fans claiming he is already a bust. The fact he suffered a nasty injury and has appeared to regress even has some fans saying we had seen the last of KK performing at a high level in Montreal. And I am here to say this is completely false. In my opinion, this is completely false. It's unwarranted and unfair for a 20-year-old kid, especially playing center under a limited role, 13 minutes a game. It's not like he has stud line mates. I think that's completely unfair myself. That's just my personal opinion. He's only 20 years old. Last year when he was playing, he was only 19 years old. He only just turned 20 years old. He is a kid playing center in the hotbed of NHL hockey in Montreal. The fact a poor showing over 36 games is enough to write this kid off. Such a talented kid already is just plain and simple sad and disrespectful in my opinion. Maybe we should have Tkachuk or Zadina, but the fact is we don't have Tkachuk Dr. Zena, we drafted Jesperi Kotkaniemi, and he is going to be good in my opinion. KK needs to work on making smarter plays and controlling the puck better. He hasn't exactly had studs for line mates as well. If KK can make these adjustments, I feel he's going to have an amazing future. He has incredible offensive dips, like that laser fast wrist shot we all seen. His very first goal was a laser fast wrist shot right over Braden Holtby's shoulder. It was absolutely beautiful. He had that spinorama in the Habs All-Star skill thing last year. He does have some really good offensive talents. He does have also very quick, fancy hands in tight areas, nice, sneaky, accurate passes, and fearlessness in front of an opposing team's net. Although he could do a better job at getting to those areas, he shows no fear attempting to go in front of an opposing team's goalie. This year, he also showed a much nastier physical game, and his work in the offseason on his physical presence, his body, his build, definitely showed. And his defensive game as well, at least in my opinion, looked better this year. Almost doubling his hits per game, getting into scrums with much bigger veteran players, and even having his first NHL fight. He was really starting to find the old KK this year in Laval after the injury, after he came back and started to play in Laval. He was playing great and producing with that smile on his face, game in and game out, that all of us Habs fans have grown to love. Let's hope it stays this way. This is a kid we need to cheer for and build up as a future pillar of the franchise. He was picked to be our star center, and I feel we fans should support him through thick and thin, through the ups and downs of his young career, because he has all the tools and size and abilities to be a star for the Montreal Canadiens for years to come. And I, for one, am going to cheer him on every step of the way. He is not the first kid in the NHL to have a very bad sophomore season. It's called the sophomore jinx for a reason, and for fans to already be suggesting we should trade this guy, he's a bust, he's not as good as Brady Tkachuk, he's not as good as Philip Zena, I think it's absolutely ridiculous. He's younger than those players, he's 20 years old, he has more size, he has just as many tools, he was raised to be a hockey player, his dad is a big name coach in Finland, he's played with men in Finland. Yes, he did have a rough 2019-2020 campaign. He started to find his groove. He got injured against the Colorado Avalanche. He got creamed by one of their big players. And unfortunately, it didn't work out for Jesperi Kotkaniemi this season. But we should not write this kid off. I have a feeling he will come back either next year, if not have a good year in Laval and come back the year after and be the player we all expect him to be. Do you guys forget the Jumbo Joe Thornton when he first came into the league? He did not perform. He had like 8 points. He had a rough year, and then all of a sudden he came and he was a superstar player. It has happened to young players before. He was only 18 when he got drafted. He was the youngest player playing in the NHL at the time when he was a rookie. He came into this year with the highest expectations on him. People expected so much from KK this season, and you could see the very first time it started not going his way, around Game 4, around Game 5, when he really had a bad game. It was already showing on his face. The frustration was already showing with this kid. The smile that we've all grown to love. The pressure that wasn't there as a rookie is there now, and the smile is gone, and you can see that it's starting to weigh on him. So for us fans to put so much pressure on this kid, to basically be trying to run him out of town, because that's what some fans basically are trying to do on social media. They want this kid traded. They're so pissed we didn't take Tkachuk, we didn't take Zena. They're already calling him a bust. I, for one, I'm not going to tell fans how to have their mindset, how to be, but I, for one, find that disrespectful. 20 years old, has only had basically a year and a half in the league, and one of those years was a phenomenal rookie season. We've seen what this kid is capable of. If we can get him to progress, if he can get in the right mindset, find his game in Laval like he was doing. He had 8 points in Laval. He was looking like the player of old. This kid's going to be good, and that's just my opinion. Now, you look at his size. He's 6'2". He's 194 pounds. He's 20 years old. He's only going to get bigger. He could be 6'3", 6'4", 220 pounds. He skates really well. He plays really well. He moves good for a player that's that big. Habs need the size. They need the offensive talent. They need the goal scoring. They need the playmaking. They need a player like this. Nick Suzuki's a great player, but is he ever going to be 6'3", 6'4", 220 pounds? No, he is not. Now, Jesperi Kotkaniemi in 2018-2019, in 79 games played, had a phenomenal rookie campaign, only playing 13 minutes a game. He had 11 goals, 23 assists, 34 points, was like top 6 in on the team in points. He was a +1. He had 26 penalty minutes, 5 power play points on a power play that was god-awful in 2018-2019, an 8.2 shooting percentage, wasn't scared to get physical either. He had 66 hits, a 45.7% face-off percentage, 32 forced turnovers, and his average time on ice was 13 minutes and 44 seconds per game, and he had 134 shots on goal. So very, very solid rookie campaign. Solid defensively, solid offensively. For third line, playing 13 minutes and 44 seconds with the subpar line mates he had, and I don't mean to insult his line mates, but compared to some other NHL teams' third line, you have to call them subpar. The Montreal Canadiens do not have the depth some other teams have, and that's just a fact. And then we go into 2019-2020. This is where it all went wrong for KK, and this is why some fans are calling him a bust. 2019-2020, in 36 games played, he had 6 goals, 2 assists, 8 points, was a -11, had 23 penalty minutes, 2 power play points, a 10.9 shooting percentage, so that was up. His his hits were 51 hits, so he was definitely a lot higher pace when it came to hits, because in 2018-2019, in 79 games played, he only had 66 hits. In 2019-2020, in 36 games played, he had 51 hits. So he was basically at double the pace when it came to hits. And he had a 42.8% face-off percentage, 14 forced turnovers, and he averaged 13 minutes per game and only had 55 shots on goal. So it wasn't the best sophomore season by no means. It was pretty bad by his standards. 8 points in 36 games for a 3rd overall pick. But it was the sophomore drinks. It was the pressure. It was just the way this season went for him. I think a fresh start for this kid, a new season. You bring him in, you put him with the right line mates, and if everything goes well, this kid should be a star for the Habs for years to come. Will he come right back and make an immediate impact, jump onto the first or second line, and all of a sudden put up 60 points? Maybe not. It may take a year or two, but he has all the tools to be a Barkov-type player. Maybe not as offensively gifted, but definitely close to it. He's very, very talented, and I truly believe he's not a bust. Let me know what you think in the comments, what your opinions are on KK. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And also, a big shout out to Zachary Tesserier on Facebook. He made my Scotty2 Hockey page. Has over 2,000 follows on it right now. Over 2,000 people like it. I really, really appreciate Zach Tesserier for doing that. A big shout out to the Sin Bin for offering to featuring me on his channel, which is another huge Habs channel, NHL channel, with triple the subscribers I have, and I will be putting out videos on his channel as well. I really, really appreciate that. To Matt from the Sin Bin. A shout out to Hugh and Richard for the fan mail they sent me last week. If you haven't seen it, go check out my fan mail video. And a shout out to all my subscribers who have recently subscribed to the channel and have been a subscriber for a long time. I appreciate every single one of you. Welcome to the Scotty2 Hockey family. Stay tuned for more bangers, more Habs videos, more hockey card videos, more NHL updates, and even some UFC fight prediction videos. This is Open Ice Hits with Scotty2 Hockey. As you can tell, I'm getting a little bit dry mouthed here, so I had to end the video. Have a great day, folks. Over and out.